And we are back here with another video today on the Clemson Tigers here. One of the teams that we've covered almost every year since the beginning of this channel, with the Clemson Tigers still under Dabo Swinney and his long tenure at Clemson. They've had such a long tenure that any Clemson fan, whoever you talk to, is going to look at it and see those two national championships. Dabo is one of the most pivotal coaches of the last and of the 21st century, and probably will be for his entire time, for the entire 21st century. One of the most pivotal ones. Challenged Nick Saban, won 2 national championships. The problem is that his philosophy just does not transition to the next part of this game in his second decade as a coach. And with that, it kind of has brought a lot of issues. One of the biggest issues is quarterback play. Chris Vizina, the new quarterback at Clemson, had himself a good game against SMU, where they did lose 35-24, but it was pretty close down to the wire, with him going for 317 yards through the air, along with let me see here, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Did get sacked 4 times, which kind of brings up one of the offensive line problems. But we'll get into that as we get into this Clemson schedule and as we get into this next year for the Tigers, that I think is going to be so important to whether Dabo is able to keep going or not. Not that I think he'll get fired, but I do think that he needs to have a good year. This is kind of a make or break year. So as we get into it, before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, like the video if you enjoy it, comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Getting back to YouTube here, I kind of forget the little spiel at the beginning of the video, but either way. First game is a road game against LSU and Lane Kiffin's Tigers, the battle of who's the better Tiger. And I think that it brings upon a very interesting question for Clemson when it comes to how good is this team against other good teams? Like, I think Clemson is going to be able to beat the Charleston Southerns and the Syracuses of the world, but are they going to be able to beat the LSUs? Are they going to be able to beat teams better than them? And I just don't know if they're at that. And with this game being on the road, if it was at home for Clemson, I'd be a little more 50-50 on this game. But with it being at LSU, that is going to be an awesome game. First of all, I think it will be a good game. And we'll see a lot from LSU and from Clemson week 1, which I love to see. But this is going to be a loss for the Tigers here early. Then you have Georgia Southern coming to town for the first home game of the year. And I think that this is a win for the Tigers. Georgia Southern, not one of the better schools in the Sun Belt, is getting a little bit better. The program has improved slightly, a little bit, I would say, in the past few years, but they still have a lot of work to go when it comes down to it. But yeah, as you're getting into the schedule, one of those big games coming is one of those big determining factors of the season is North Carolina coming to town. North Carolina's quarterback, Billy Edwards, the transfer from, I forget whether Wisconsin or Wake Forest came first, but he is the transfer, I believe, from Wisconsin, if I remember correctly. So that will be very interesting to see. I just don't really think Bill Belichick is in a good position right now. I could be wrong. I 100% could be wrong with it, but I just don't think that Bill Belichick is a good college football coach. And honestly, I think that he is not a good fit right now for that system. So I'm going to have them winning that game for the Tigers, with the Tar Heels losing that one. Clemson 2-1, heading all the way across the country to play Cal. Another important game, a kind of must win to have a good season. Cal, a team that is in a new stage of football with their new head coach this season, who I'm trying to remember, Tosh Lupi, the former Bay Area native and Cal player, is the new football coach, with, I believe, new area and stuff like that. So very interesting to see what will happen there with Ron Rivera as the GM there at um, Cal. And with that, it also he did pretty well at Oregon as the DC, only 44 years old, so he's still a young head coach. But I still think has a lot of improvement to go before I think that Cal is starting to win some games here. So I have this as a win for the Tigers. I think that they're able to get a win there. But it is a Friday night game, and silly things happen on Friday night. So it could turn into a bad game. So you have that. Then you have another home game coming back all the way across the country to play Miami. Very, very interesting matchup here. Miami, a team that has Darian Mensah transfer from Duke to Miami and has a lot of pieces still coming back. You still have some players that I think are in good spots that are able to show that, like the wide receiver core still in a good spot. The defensive line is going to need some replacements for a guy like Ruben Bain and stuff like that. The defensive backfield, the secondary is also going to need some additions to it in terms of production. But I think as a general statement, I think that Miami is in a good position. So I am going to have Miami winning this game. I think that Miami gets the win there. But at the same time, Miami loses games that they shouldn't and then win games and then win some games. So it will be interesting to see whether that's a game that Miami kind of slips up at. But I don't feel like Clemson is a game that Miami is just going to get, whoa, this happened like they did last year with Louisville and against SMU. Charleston Southern coming to town to play the Tigers. Easy win there. No problems there. 4th win of the season. So 4-2 heading for a home game against the Virginia Tech Hokies. And I'm going to have this one as a slight advantage for the Tigers, but I could be convinced in the way the Hokies, depending on how they're playing here in October. If the bye week was in front of this one, I would be a little bit more intrigued. But it's going to be a very interesting matchup because Virginia Tech is one of those teams with the new head coach and James Franklin, Brent Pry, now the DC instead of the head coach. It should be interesting to see what happens with the Virginia Tech program because they do have some resources. Their stadium's in a good spot and they have an elite fan base. So I think that Virginia Tech is not just a team that you can just throw out and then all of a sudden they're going to be a great team, but at the same time, you also can't underestimate them because if you underestimate them, James Franklin and Virginia Tech is going to make it pay. So I'm going to give that one to the Hokies. Then you have a road game against the Seminoles, and this is where I'm going to kind of flip-flop a little bit here. I think Mike Norvell is a head coach that has really been on the struggle bus the past few seasons. And other than the one-off year with Jordan Travis back a couple of years ago when they missed out on the playoffs and everything like that and that whole situation, outside of that, Mike Norvell has not had a great tenure at Florida State. So I think that the Tigers get a win here on the road. And with that, I think they start to develop a little bit of momentum here in the back half of the season. And with that, I think it may be the nail in the coffin for Mike Norvell and his Seminoles. We'll see what happens. It could go either way, I think. A road game against Florida State. If Clemson beats Miami, this could be a very interesting matchup to see what happens with Florida State. Then you have a road game against a Syracuse on a Saturday, possibly even a Friday night. If it's Friday, I'm picking Syracuse to win this game, and Clemson fans will know exactly why. If it's Saturday, I got Clemson in this one. But if it's Friday, you never know about what's going on with that. Then you have a home game against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, bringing in a very interesting roster. I think Georgia Tech is one of the most underrated football programs recently because, well, Georgia Tech isn't a team that you think of when it comes to dominance, but you look at some of the players that have come through the program, Demetrius Thomas, Calvin Johnson, everything like that. Like, this is a team that is not in a bad position at all. Brent Key, I was trying to remember. I'm like, it's not Brent Pry, it's Brent Key, the head coach. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens with no Haynes at quarterback. And with that, it's going to bring in a very interesting season. But Georgia Tech, I think, is a team that their ACC schedule, just to give reference here, Wake Forest, Clemson, at home game against Louisville, Pitt, BC, Virginia Tech, Duke, at Stanford. Their non-conference is really difficult. Colorado, at Tennessee, or no, I'm sorry, a home game against Tennessee, and then a road game against Georgia. So their non-conference is very difficult, but I could see like a Duke scenario here from last year, where Georgia Tech plays well in the ACC, and this 7-5 team, this 8-4 team is in the ACC championship. I could see that happening. Speaking of Duke, you have a road game against the Blue Devils, and I am going to give them a win here. I think that it is going to be incredibly interesting to see what happens with this game. I could see a victory. I could also not. But with Darian Mensah not there, I'm just not 100% sure whether I trust Manny Diaz or not. I liked him going into last year with Mensah coming in, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to recover from that spot. So I think that they're able to get a victory there. So I think that you have that. That is 7 wins on the season currently. Then you have a home game against South Carolina. And with that, I think it brings up a very interesting perspective here. The road team in this series has won every game since 2021. And with that, I think that the Gamecocks continue that trend with a win here. And I know a lot of South Carolina fans, a lot of Clemson fans, you guys are going to be upset with me, but I just like South Carolina in this matchup a little more this year than last year. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. But let me know what you think Clemson's record will be. Hit that comment section down below. Do that. But either way, hit one of the 2 videos down below. You guys know the drill. The podcast of all of the episodes is right here. Hit the subscribe button up here. And as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.